the common through line I would say to a lot of the music is I would call you guys dark optimism because you address these very heavy, very serious issues facing the world today, but there's always this glimmer of hope. And I wanted to start by asking, all right, where does that hope come from for you?
Yeah, well, the thing is, um, you know, we are, we take life kind of, light, and like, with a smile.
Mhm.
We smile a lot in the nightliner and on the tours, and we have fun. I try to smile a lot during shows as well, because it gets pretty unbearable if it's only darkness and melancholy.
Mm.
Uh, well, but in a way also, I feel that that it's kind of a relief, and like melancholic music gives me a relief. It gives me joy. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
um so, and I think it gives the music, it gives it a certain meaning if you address the little bit more difficult topics. uh, I'd say.
Right, right. But I like the fact that there's always a hopeful twist in the end about, overcoming all the darkness.
Yeah, because otherwise it gets unbearable. Like, if it's just like good night,
Yeah.
it like, okay, everything goes to hell,
Right,
and
right.
let's just die. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
all right. So we address the things that is dark, and it's problematic, but there has to be a way out. There is always a hope. There's always hope, and there's always. I believe in mankind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. And one of the first singles that you guys have released, Discordia, has, a lot of these interesting elements, and you had this really interesting line about it, where um okay, I just want to make sure I get this right. It's a piece born from vulnerability and from our willingness to explore the uncomfortable corners of our sound. What would you say are the uncomfortable corners of your sound?
Oh, of the sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, Uh, hmm. I would say, yeah. Well, that music. It's not supposed to be. Yeah. I have to sort of think about that phrasing, but the sound. Yeah. It's supposed to be uncomfortable sometimes. It's like, it's heavy. It's in your face. It's not always accessible,
Mhm.
because um, it's sort of it. I mean, I think it's all about tension and release, and it has to be. The music has to carry a balance of uncomfortable elements, and then a little bit nicer elements, to be interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I would say with a lot of what always interests me with the music of Soen is, and I think the bravest thing you guys do sonically is when you pull back in the midst of a song, go very quiet or go very soft. Because there's so many bands out there that can do a massive wall of sound, but then they're just on the gas pedal the whole time. And have were you guys always initially comfortable with, okay, we're going to go kind of quiet and subtle in this point, or I don't know, was that kind of a leap of faith that you had to work your way up to?
I think no. I think it came very early, from. It was sort of in the cards when we started working. The way, I mean, Martin, it started with Martin had written a few riffs.
Hmm.
Now we're talking way back, how it all
Hmm.
started. And then he was thinking like, okay, who's gonna perform on this? What are the vocals gonna be on this? And I think his first reaction was, let's do the growl on this. So heavy riffs and then growl. But then when we met up, we just we did something else. I sang only clean vocals on the heavy riff, and that kind of that mix made it like unique in like it created something that felt new and different. And
Hmm.
from that day, I think it has always been in our sound, this thing that we mix like heavy riffs, heavy rhythms with soother vocals, or or if I go nowadays, if I go really hard, maybe
Yeah.
we switch the instrumentals to be more soothing, and like, but that kind of what the sweet and salt thing has always
Hmm.
been a part of Soen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so interesting, is it's never just it's never one dimensional. No song is ever one dimensional. Um, and I'm wondering, there's all these little tiny elements that, because again, I was listening to an MP3 version of this, but I put on headphones and such. And, for instance, there was times like in Discordia where there are these keyboard notes that kind of bounce back and forth left to right. And I'm wondering, are elements like that planned out ahead of time, or is it like cooking without a recipe where you're just kind of seasoning as you go?
um well, it's just playing around, and but that melody was something that Martin had on the on his first ideas.
Mm.
So that kind of um, like progressive 70s vibey synthesizer
Hmm.
thing just felt great to have it there in that song. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you guys are writing, what usually comes first, the melody or the lyrics?
Melody first.
Mm.
We always like build the song, and then the lyrics is created upon that kind of realm of music. Yeah.
Right, right. Um, and again, you guys tackle some large issues facing the world and such. And I'm wondering, have you guys always been in sync on what the message of a song should be, or have there been times when maybe you had different opinions on what the message of the song should be, or even what your opinion on that particular world event should be?
No, we're usually quite aligned actually,
Mm.
with it, and because we just work a lot together, and so it's just, I don't think it's rare that we have to discuss those topics. It's just it just grows, we because we meet every day, we work together, and we work on the songs, and it's a long process, and during that time it sort of molds into uh, to this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One of the recurring themes throughout the album is how technology is becoming a big problem in people's lives and separating us. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, how much is the problem the technology itself, and how much of it is the people behind the technology?
Yeah. It's hard to put the responsibility on technology, since it's it's always people behind it. But I'm not sure we have control over it. I don't. It's not necessarily like a master engineer behind everything, like building this conspiracy. It's probably a lot of what's happening with social media is probably not planned. I don't think there was a master plan. It was
Mhm.
something that that was it's just a product of all the algorithms and all the, it probably just happened, and I'm not sure there was like a big master plan behind it.
Hmm.
But that's also the problem. I don't think that we really. I don't think that there is any. There's no gatekeepers. There's no control. There is.
Mhm.
It becomes. Let's say it becomes a product. Like the society becomes a product of unhinged, like capitalism that
Mhm.
might not have a plan. It's not planned. It's just that, maybe we have to regulate it in some way. I don't know. I'm not a big
Yeah.
regulated guy, but there has to be some control or some plan, at least, I think, some
Mhm.
way.
Mhm. One of the, tracks that really caught my attention was, Velikor, if I'm pronouncing that one
Hmm.
correctly. There's a lot of really, again, I'm waiting to get, like, at least the CD on this so you can really hear, because it sounds like there's all these really cool layers to it. Like, for instance, there's almost this monastic chant that comes in and out. I'm wondering, how did you guys create that?
You mean how we actually did it, or
Yeah,
how
I
the
mean,
ideas came up?
was it something you did yourself? Did you, or, I've heard of musicians that actually, tape people in monasteries,
Ah,
uh,
no. Actually, the difference is, I'm a control freak, so I usually do, like when it comes to vocals, I do basically 100% of the vocals. But in this part, I wasn't part of the chanting stuff. It was actually the other guys that was doing that,
oh,
which
okay.
was very annoying to me. Very like, what the hell is going on here? Uh, but it turned out really cool. But yeah, it's the guys singing. It's the
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Mm.
And then, there are these different effects that you guys apply to your voices, particularly in that song. And, you know, what tools did you use to kind of get all these different tones?
Mm. Yeah, actually, we did a lot of did a lot more experimenting on this album when it comes to effects, just playing
Mm,
around, and actually exactly what kind of effects and what kind of, I don't have a clue. Usually, because what we do nowadays is, um, Martin and I, we just play around. We work a lot in Logic and the other when we do the demos, and we
mhm.
just play around with stuff, and you do like weird shit with the plugins, And then we have Alexander Backlund, the producer,
Mhm.
who is sort of, I mean, who can take those ideas on and make them into something that is actually listenable.
Mm.
So we are just being creative with the stuff. We don't use the stuff as it's supposed to be used. Uh, we just, yeah, turn all
Right.
the knobs until it sounds funny and weird. But then we have an actual producer that can sort of make it
Pulls
into
it back
something.
a little.
Puts it back a little, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So
Um,
what that gives is probably, I think that in that sense we can experiment a little bit more with the production nowadays, because it's the sound of the Soen sound is there.
yeah.
It sits there. So I think in the beginning of our career, we were more anxious, maybe, maybe more.
Mhm.
We were a little bit more afraid of where we would go, not to lose it
Mm.
totally. Today, I think we can experiment more and still feel confident that it's going to be a Soen album and it's going to sound Soen-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and I think one of the tracks that shows that maturity actually is the song "Indifference," which is very sparse in terms of instrumentation. Um, and I think, maybe newer, younger bands, there would be that thought of we've got to, again, fill it with this, we've got to fill it with sound. We've got to, have everything come in. Um, did did you try to have like a full band version of that, or was that always in your mind as something, I don't know, much more intimate?
Um, with, I mean, for example, just one obvious thing. There's no drums.
Right.
Uh, so so Martin is not playing drums, which is a little bit special, because he wrote the song. I would say. I
Oh,
mean, in large parts. I
okay.
would say, like, to a large extent. But then to choose not to be there himself, which it's a
Mhm.
big, very mature move, I would say. Uh, because it didn't and that's what a younger band would probably fill it with stuff. We felt, I think we did the song justice by leaving it very stripped down, taking out also a lot of experience from the Atlantis recording. uh, it was a live album that we did with a string quartet. So
Mhm, mhm.
Lars Lars arranged the strings for the song. He's from the Royal Academy Royal Academy School of Music. He's the
Okay.
theorist of the band.
Uh-huh.
Um, so we have had some live strings on that song, and then Lars is playing piano on a beautiful live piano. So it's very live and very stripped down and very,
Mhm.
um, what do you say, really a less is more approach.
Yeah.
But sometimes, yeah, if the song is strong on its own, then you don't need all that, all the bells and whistles.
Right, right. No, and again, I think it shows a maturity and an ability to listen to the song and say, "Oh, actually, we don't, we can stop here. We don't need to add more." This is a case
Mm,
where less is more.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you talk about his impressive education in the world of music. How do you guys explain what your thoughts are and such? Do you use, terms, music terms and stuff like that? Or, how much of it is just, you kind of vocalize what you're going for, and, how much of it is technical terminology and how much of it is just trying to describe an emotion?
Um. Oh, I think we have mm, more. We're talking more in emotions, I would say. It's a little
Mm,
bit, since we are all, we're all musicians, and musicianship is valued very high, but still, I think we try to avoid it to be too much, um, to clinic,
mhm.
or to clinical. uh, it has to have that, carry a certain, vibe, artistic vibe. So I I think we talk more of what the song should actually express, rather than using theoretical terms to describe the music.
Okay. And getting back to Velocore, at the very beginning of the song, there's singing, but it's singing without words. It's just kind of it's not a hum per se, but it's, just kind of singing this melody.
Mm.
How was that worked out? Were there lyrics you were thinking of that you used to kind of, pattern that, or how does one design a piece like that?
Actually, yeah, the words of the monks is probably a well kept secret with Martin. I
Mm,
actually never asked him, because he was the one who came up with that chanting, and I just said, "Yeah, sounds great."
okay.
keep it there. uh, let's say it has a super super important meaning, but we won't reveal it.
Yeah, it's a mystery you're not allowed to divulge or something to that
Yes.
effect. Right, right. And I'm always impressed with you come about with these great turns of phrases on these albums. Um, on this one in particular, the crowning vultures into kings, I loved because it really, with just a few words, encapsulates a lot of the mess that's going on in the world.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, I don't know, do you think you have an advantage in writing lyrics that are not in your native language? Does it maybe force you to be more economical when you're coming up with lyrics?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Yeah, because we have been talking about that. Uh, I hope so. I hope so. I actually, because I can imagine that it sounds a bit funny to an American. The way we express ourselves this with the Swedish language. Uh, Sometimes, you know, or funny. I don't know if funny is the word, but
Yeah.
it's obviously it's not the way you would express yourself
Hmm.
with your own language. Um, like for example, on indifferent,
Yeah.
uh, we say, "How do someone become so heartless,
Hmm.
ripping into my chest?" And constantly. And I know it's obviously not the way you're supposed to build that sentence. How do someone become so heartless? How, the correct way would be, how does someone become so heartless? But
Right.
how do someone become so? It sounds just better, and for a Swedish person, it sounds better, and then we keep
Yeah.
it there.
Right. And
Yeah.
and again, it's the literary license. It's when you're hearing it in kind of an artistic rendering, it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense that way.
Yeah, and to me, it feels more true. How do
Hmm.
someone become so heartless? As a Swedish person or something, it just feels more right.
Yeah. And I don't know, in a way, it feels more active than, does sounds more passive in some ways. So
Mm, mm.
it sounds more like it is still happening at the moment.
Okay, so it's approved by
Yeah.
you. That's good. And crowning vultures into kings was also something we were discussing a bit, Martin and I. It just felt right, crowning vultures into kings, and
Yeah.
like a message that that we wanted to convey somehow. What that it well, it's kind of obvious what's happening around us right now with all the wrong leaders in the world
Yes.
showing up. Mm.
Um, but and there's thousands and thousands of words have been written to describe these awful people who are in control right now. But again, I thought your economy and just getting it down to crowning vultures into kings just encapsulates it wonderfully with, a short number of words.
And I think, like, overall, maybe over the years, we have been more economical with the words. I don't know, you like cut to the chase.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
bit. It's not necessarily so poetic all the time. It's more uh, in your face.
yeah. But
Mm.
I don't know.
I
But it
like it.
it it works wonderfully from a listener's perspective. So
It feels more true and
yeah,
more honest that way.